Today, Islam Makhachev proves his dominance. Merab silences the haters. And Yuri Prohashka debuts a new technique in the octagon. It's called head movement. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy Matt, and we are here to go over UFC 311, which went down Saturday night in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Always up to no good. That's right, I used it. Nevertheless, bro, in the main event, let's hop right into it. Islam Makhachev goes out there and defeats Money Moicano, Moicano in the main event. Defeats him in the first round, actually submits him. Okay, so first off, of course, this fight was supposed to be between Islam and Tsarukyan. But Arman Tsarukyan supposedly called Dana White in the middle of the night, or contacted him in the middle of the night around 1 a.m. on the night, weight cut night. A little sus that it went down on weight cut night. Nevertheless, Arman calls, says he has a back injury. He can't push forward. So he's out of the fight. And, you know, if you watch the post-fight press conference, Dana White was basically like, that's cool, Arman. We moving on. But, hey, Dana, you think I might be able to get that title shot after? Nah, Arman, look. Arman, don't hit my phone. Don't text me. Me, Mick, or Sean will hit you up when the time comes. But nevertheless, out my face. Out my face, Arman. And that was it. So, enter Money Moicano, who goes ahead and takes this fight on less than 24 hours notice. Well, very, very, very interesting. Not really. Islam Makhachev went out there and did exactly what I said he was going to do in my pre-fight video when they changed up the fight. Islam Makhachev went out there and did Islam Makhachev things, and he defeats Money Moicano via submission in the first round. He looked dominant. He looked poised. Money Moicano did land a few leg kicks, you know, few little jabs in there, a few little jabs to the body he tried. Nevertheless, dude, I'm not saying that to disparage Money Moicano. This man is a game fighter, bro. A true prize fighter. He got paid a hefty penny to take this fight on short notice. He was playing with house money. Had he won, he not only would have got the pay bump, he would have walked out with the title. And, you know, it's hard in a world where you got your, you got your Justin Gaethjes, your Max Holloways, you got your Tsarukyans, maybe eventually if he ever gets his act together. You got your Charles Oliveira's. You got all of these cats buying for a shot at 155 pounds. It was hard to believe Money Moicano was ever really going to advance to get that shot, but he got that shot. More power to him. Shout out to him. He did what he could do, but Islam Makhachev is the pound for pound best fighter going right now. Now, I know he hasn't had this huge lineage of 155 pounders that he's beaten, but at the same time, when you look at the people he has beaten at 155 and the way that he's disposed of a lot of them, and even the closer fights like with Alexander Volkanovski, the first one, you know what I'm saying? And even with Dustin Poirier, you still have to think or look at it like, who in the weight division is going to beat him? Not who's going to, maybe win a round or two against him or put up a good fight against him, but who is honestly going to beat him? And maybe the closest, I didn't think Tsarukyan was going to win. I picked Makhachev to beat Tsarukyan. But even if Tsarukyan gets his act together, you got to wonder if he would even be able to do anything with Makhachev. Makhachev just took this on short notice and rolled the dice. Yeah, I'm sure they checked out a little bit of film. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I would say Money Moicano is a much, much different competitor than what Arman Sarukian is, and he disposed of him. So nevertheless, that was your main event. Islam Makhachev defends his 155-pound strap, and he moves on. Let's talk about the co-main event, in which Merab Dvalishvili goes out there and defeats Umar Nurmagomedov. It's rare that you get to say anyone defeated Nurmagomedov, but it happened on Saturday night. Now, after, he wins a fight by a 5-round decision. Of course, I picked Umar to win this fight. And when I think about it, man, shout out to Merab. Shout out to Merab, who went out there and did his thing. But also shout out to Umar, man. Umar, they have the photos are out. His hand looks like a balloon. You know what I'm saying? Bro, Umar Nurmagomedov broke his hand, supposedly, early in the first round, and continued the fight like that. And if that was Umar fighting with one hand, and previously it had kind of been a little rumors that he had some sort of an arm injury as well, on the same arm being his left arm, that's the hand he also broke. If he fought as well as he did with the injured arm and an injured hand, that dude is a real Nurmagomedov. Y'all gotta cut him a little bit of slack. If that's what actually happened, bro. If that's what actually happened. This is not a cope. I'm just saying, if that's what actually happened, if homie goes in with one injured arm and then breaks his hand in the first round, and he did that well against Merab, kudos to the man. Shout out to the man. But this is about Merab. Merab went out there against a lot of odds because everybody's MO, including mine for Merab, is he's got that gas tank. He's a cardio machine. You know what I'm saying? The dude goes out there and spams takedown after takedown, doesn't do much damage, but he never gets tired and he drowns his opponents. He made the attempt to do that to Umar early on, and Umar wasn't having it. While Umar was still at full stamina and could still move about, really well, in the sense of takedown defense. But dude, shout out to Merab. The fan base turned on him on how he handled going into that fight. How he seemed like he was avoiding Umar. He also didn't do himself any favors by constantly getting in fights with fans for no reason at all. Why you keep fighting with fans? Hush up. Sit down. You ain't the first fighter to constantly get challenged by fans. You're just one of the few that keeps reacting and trying to fight them. Chill out, bro. But nevertheless, man, this dude went out there against Coach Khabib. He goes out there against Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm sorry, I apologize. I messed up his name. Bro, he goes out there and he puts on a good show. Merab looked slightly better on the feet. Wasn't perfect technique, but he looked slightly better on the feet. I was impressed by that. He was tenacious. He still had his fun, quirky moments where at one moment Umar was trying to take him down and Rob just stood tall like that. I mean, he still had his moments. He was still talking to the crowd. May have been talking to Coach Khabib at one point. You know what I'm saying? Funny little moments from Ray Longo in the corner going off on him, cursing about any and everything. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him. That was kind of interesting. Meanwhile, you had Coach Khabib just losing his ish on Umar in the corner, going off on him, telling him what he needed to do. I kind of felt like the round that he started yelling at Umar, telling him he needed to wrestle, that was a little bit earlier in the fight, but I kind of felt like Umar was kind of winning on the feet. And I don't think he needed to engage to wrestle at all, to be honest with you. And I think that was part of what began to zap his gas tank. And then once Merab realized by about the third round, Umar getting tired. You know what I'm saying? Merab just did his Merab thing. And that's how it went. But nevertheless, dude, shout out to Merab. He goes out there, he gets the win. And now the bantamweight division is his playground. Because literally, all of these people that they were showing out in the audience as these guys were walking out and, O'Malley's there and whoever else is there. It's like, bro, Merab beats all of them. I know O'Malley did better, some might say, against against Merab than Umar. I don't know about that. I think Umar looked really, really good. But Ramab, I can't say his name, Merab, easily beats O'Malley in the rematch. I think he would easily dispose of him. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a uber, as if he had lacked it. He never lacked it. This is a uber confident Merab who went in there with by far the more dangerous opponent being Umar Nurmagomedov. So it's like, dude, I'd have to pick Merab in that. Merab against Sandhagen again, I got Merab. You know what I'm saying? Merab going in there with who else? Who else are you literally going to pick? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they, and when I say again, I mean they give Sandhagen another shot to get something cracking or a shot at the belt. Merab wastes him, bro. Like, bro, I mean, Merab is just an animal, dude. Like, I just don't know of anybody in the division short of, and this had never happened, but short of Aljamain going back down to face him, I just don't see anybody at the top of that division that's going to be able to do anything with Merab right now. You could sign him up against whoever. They're not going to do anything to him. So now he can have his way with the division and keep earning checks. Let's move on. Let's talk about, I'm not going to go over all the fights on this, but let's talk about my favorite fight of the night. Jiri Prochazka stepped in the octagon with Jamal Hill, goes out there, puts on a fight of the night, a true fight of the night, should have won fight of the night. It was an amazing fight because Jiri Prochazka did what all Jiri Prochazka fans have always wanted, which I really like Jiri Prochazka. I just could not pick him because I didn't know he was ever going to add this wrinkle to his game, being head movement. Jiri Prochazka went out there and at least had his hands at half staff, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of the time, sometimes had his hands up high and incorporated head movement. And it was a world of difference. But at the same time, shout out to Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill's hands looked excellent. Jamal Hill, say what you want about the dude. That dude is not scared to stand in the pocket and let's chuck him. Let's stand in the pocket, let's throw these fists, and let's see what's about to happen. Jamal Hill is a pocket gangster. You know what I'm saying? This dude is right in the pocket. He ain't worried about nothing. He ain't worried about Yuri's wild movements, his wild striking. He wasn't worried about nothing. And yeah, Jamal got caught multiple times, got dropped a couple times, and eventually got finished via strikes. But dude, shout out to Jamal Hill, because I just like seeing a fighter that was confident enough in his hands to just stay in the pocket. I'm just going to stay in the pocket. I'm confident enough in my defense, in my parrying, in my head movement, and my returns and my counter punching to just stand in the pocket. And he had some tremendous knees. Not maybe one or two landed, but not many. But it was just the thought that he was finishing a lot of combinations with knees, bro. Or started them almost with a knee, like a jab, then a knee, and then bing, bing, bing. He's letting the hands go. This was a great fight. Shout out to Jiri Prochazka. Shout out to Jamal Hill. Outstanding. And it's great to see Jiri on his quest to make it back to the light heavyweight championship. That is awesome to see. We will see how this goes. We will see how this plays out. But in my opinion, Jamal Hill has nothing to be lackluster about or anything. I believe his stock rose. I believe a lot of people that have been hating on him all this time really got to see a lot from Jamal Hill against an extremely deadly fighter being Jiri Prochazka. Outstanding fight. Should have won fight of the night. Nevertheless, it was great. Jiri Prochazka goes out there, gets a win, he moves forward. Next, we had a fight. Now, Jiri did get performance of the night, I will add, but nevertheless, also Merab and Umar, they got fight of the night. Let's move on. We had Jailton Almeida stepped in there with Sergey Spivak. Jailton gets a performance of the night. Man, this was interesting because I kind of felt like Sergey Spivak really kind of leveled up a little bit in his time away from the octagon. He was in much better condition, which was noted by DC. Much better shape. he looked to be a little bit more prepared for this fight. I mean, he got a throw on Almeida, which was amazing to see. And he had some really good top pressure on Almeida, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, a few grappling, a few scrambling mistakes, and once Almeida was able to really get secure that position, and then shout out to Almeida because I've been wanting him to add this forever, some form of ground and pound. That's all he's been lacking is some form of ground and pound. Because usually he just sits there and likes to cook his opponents like a stew, like a crock pot, and then eventually submit them. But shout out to him for adding some ground strikes and being able to finish Spivak on the ground. So that was cool to see. Let's move on to a fight that I just did not understand why people were questioning anything but this outcome. First off, shout out to Kevin Holland. You know, as I was talking about with somebody in the comments, no disrespect to them, I just don't remember off the top of my head. They were talking about they're a Kevin Holland fan, and I'm a huge Kevin Holland fan. But what I've noticed over the last few years with Kevin Holland, and I agree with I agree with the dude. He's a hard guy to be a fan of. He makes it rough on you. You know what I'm saying? But with how he takes these fights and so frequently. But I'm a Kevin Holland fan. You know, who don't like Big Mouth? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, dude, I just noticed a few fights back. It's been going on for a while. I feel that if Kevin Holland goes out there and if early on he's able to start dominating his opponent or lighting him up on the feet, then he's in the fight. But if it's going to go to the ground, if it's going to need a lot of mad scrambling and things, I think Kevin Holland pretty much quits on himself. I think he's making a good paycheck regardless. You know, he's not making, you know, by no means is he making champion grade money. But he's making a good check. And he fights so frequently, he's making good money year after year after year. And I just think that he's just the type of guy, he's got a heck of a chin on him. And he just goes out there and he, you know, gets in these fights and the fight gets a little bit rough. Kevin Holland more than likely is going to find a way out or not have that tenacity to try to get out of bad positions to continue the fight. And that was kind of what happened. Renner de Ritter went out there, did exactly what I kind of felt like he was going to do. It didn't even stay on the feet as long as I thought it was going to. Got Kevin Holland down to the ground and pretty much kind of had his way with him. And he wins by submission. But like I said, not a lot to that. It's kind of what I saw happening to Kevin Holland. But, you know, hopefully Kevin Holland figures all of this out. Or if he just wants to be that dude that just keeps going out there and putting on fun fights against guys. And if it gets a little rough, he kind of gets out of it. That's cool with me too. Because he's a great fighter and I like him. I like him in the build-ups of all of his fights. It's great. But nevertheless, man, it was not his night. Last fight I'm really going to get into, last fight I'm really going to talk about, is Peyton Talbot versus Harney Barcelos. I don't know what's up with Peyton Talbot, but he's got to get it together, man. You know, Barcelos is a good fighter. He's a sneaky fighter. He's a tricky veteran fighter. But I feel like Talbot should have had a better game plan to keep him at distance, to keep him at range, and to pick him apart. And he didn't look as urgent to me when he was taken down and trying to, you know, get over to the side of the cage, try to wall walk, try to get back to your feet. I know it's easier said than done, but he just seemed reserved to lay in those positions, and he didn't seem like he had the ground technique to be able to capitalize on anything if you're going to lay in that spot. He needs to fix that hole in his game. Because for whatever reason, he's captured the attention of the public. You know, I guess he's an awkward looking dude. He's kind of cool looking, I guess. He didn't look to be, in my opinion, in as good a body shape as he's come in other fights. I'm not sure with that. He just looked like a dude that, you know, he looked like he was in shape, but he looked like he just had a weight cut, and that's why he kind of looked slim. He looked a little bit smooth. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like cut. And a lot in the past, I feel like we see him in better condition. But nevertheless, maybe he went into it with a slight injury. Who knows? But, you know, he needs to fix those holes in his game. But nevertheless, man, it was some, pretty good little scraps on this card. How about Eileen Perez? Just when you think it's safe to pick against her, which has been almost every one of her fights, she squeaks out another one. And the UFC has got to be happy about that. Because if they can get her to beat a big, big name opponent, don't be surprised if you don't see her in a bantamweight title shot. Because, old girl is not shy. She ain't shy. You know what I'm saying? She ain't scared to drop them things on people, do a little twerking, if you know what I'm saying. She ain't shied from it. She ain't scared of it. And so, the UFC is looking for whatever they can to try to move the women's division along. And I know that might not be the most popular thing to say in some circles, but that goes a long way with the UFC. You know what I'm saying? The type of shenanigans that she be involved with. She goes out there and gets a win. I don't know. Nevertheless, man, that was UFC 311. We move on. We move forward. I believe the next card is the Israel Adesanya card. So we'll be breaking that down here soon. But nevertheless, that was it. UFC 311. Islam Makhachev reigns supreme. And I do want to thank you guys once again for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.